सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. So with Ishwara's grace, we are now entering into the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is called Sankhya Yoga. This word yoga, we have seen, it has different meanings in different contexts. And here it means the subject matter of the chapter. And the subject matter of the chapter is Sankhya. So this word Sankhya also has different meanings in different contexts. It can mean renunciation, sannyasa. It can mean a renunciate, a sannyasi. It can also mean self-knowledge. So in this context, it means self-knowledge. So in this chapter of Bhagavad Gita, actually Bhagwan has given the entire self-knowledge in a nutshell. If Arjuna's mind was ready to grasp this knowledge, Bhagavad Gita would have ended after this chapter, But Arjuna's mind was not ready, because it is not easy to grasp this knowledge in entirety so quickly. It is a very gradual process, this entire grasping of this knowledge, And one needs a matured, purified mind for that, You should have lived your life to have understood something about life, So Arjuna's mind was not ready, And because, and every shloka here is so cryptic with such deep meanings, Every time you read one shloka, you will get a deeper meaning, So there's no end to study of the scriptures. The more you read, the more you enjoy, and every shloka is going to tell you so much more, So Arjuna's mind was not ready, and he kept asking Bhagwan questions, So because he kept asking so many questions, Bhagwan kept elaborating this knowledge, and in this Sankhya Yoga, this chapter, it did not finish here. He kept on asking questions and Bhagwan kept elaborating. So in all the other chapters of Bhagavad Gita, the same thing has been elaborated. And to Arjuna he elaborated, and through Arjuna he is giving it to us so that we also grasp as to what Bhagwan is saying, So the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, called Arjuna Vishad Yoga, we saw in that Arjuna was overwhelmed by Vishad, because he was grief. Vishad is grief because he was facing a dharma sankat. Dharma sankat was that he had to kill his own people. In spite, he was a Kshatriya, but this was the first time in his life he has faced such an enemy. There are his own people and the most revered grandfather and guru standing there, So he had a big dharma sankat and he was overwhelmed by grief, very unlikely of Arjuna. But that doesn't mean that Arjuna was a scared person. He was one of the bravest person, and this war and all didn't frighten him. In fact, this is what he did the best. Fighting wars was his dharma. He was a Kshatriya, So, but along with being so courageous and brave, Arjuna also was a very good human being. He was so righteous, He was so well versed with Dharma Shastra. Every value which was given in the Dharma Shastra was so well assimilated in him. Even his cousin Duryodhana has studied the Dharma Shastra, but he is an Atatai. He was a hardcore criminal. For Arjuna, his family, his tradition, his culture, dharma in the society were of paramount importance, And because it was so important to him, when he comes here and he realizes in the battlefield that all this which he valued is just going to go away, because couple of generations standing there are likely to get wiped out. And they are the ones who have to take this dharma and all ahead, So Arjuna gets very dejected and he just sits down on the chariot, puts his bow and arrow aside and tells Bhagwan that I'm not going to fight this war because I don't want to be the cause of the death of all my family and friends, and the consequences of which are going to be for generations to come. There won't be any dharma in the society, so I don't want to do this. But Arjuna did not know that this perspective of his was that of a samsari. And samsara is raga, shoka and moha. It begins with attachment. Because of the family attachment, he had all the raga problems which led to the shoka which he is experiencing, and to moha, which is delusion. The righteous thinking gets distorted in moha. So presently he is facing that. Now samsara, is a disease. As per the Shastras, this is a disease, and just like any other disease, first requires diagnosis of that disease so that it can be treated and cured. Similarly, this disease of samsara also requires diagnosis so that it can be treated and cured, But here the thing is that the person himself has to realize that he is afflicted with samsara and he should want to cure it. Most of us, whenever we face problems and challenges in life, we think there is some external factor because of which I am experiencing this grief. Now, a poor person thinks the poverty is the cause of all his grief. An unmarried person thinks not being married is the cause of all his misery. And if an unhappy married person is there, then he thinks that this marriage is the cause, dealing with so many people here, all sorts of weird people have to deal with, that is the cause of why I am unhappy. A childless person thinks not having children is the cause of unhappiness. So all the people think it's an external factor because of which I am unhappy, I am experiencing this grief inside, And because of that, they go on tampering and adjusting their external worlds. Only some very rare, intelligent, wise person on whom there is Ishvara's grace, he starts doubting this. That maybe there is some problem within me, because no matter what you do, this problem inside is not getting solved, And then on top of that, this world is always changing. It's an ephemeral world, and whatever you try and adjust, after some time that only goes and changes, So, our lives are like that game of snakes and ladders, Whenever you have climbed a ladder in life and you feel now things are all good, then one snake is going to come and bite, and then down we come again, So the problem of this world doesn't get solved, but most of the people are always blaming an external factor and always trying to adjust their world outside. For a person to recognize that the problem is in me, it is my perception of myself and this world which is a problem, it requires a lot of wisdom and humility for the person, so that he'll want to correct himself then, And one thing we have to be very sure about, we cannot control and correct this world. The world is not in our control. If at all there's anything, we can only control and correct our own selves and our perception. Most of the people don't have any control on themselves only. They are so impulsive, So they go and do things and regret later, go and do things and regret later, So presently Arjuna is in that state. He hasn't really realized that there is a problem within me. He is attributing the problem to the present situation he is facing. But the thing to be noted is, he had been telling Bhagwan that I don't want to fight this battle and I want to leave this battlefield, But he does not leave the battlefield. He sits down on the chariot and he does not leave. So that is an indication that somewhere in his mind there is a doubt, maybe my thinking is not right, And a doubt arising is a sign of progress, because only then will the person want to look into this and find a solution, Arrogant person, who is adamant that my thinking is right, he is so identified with this thinking, he is not going to look for any solutions, And only when a person realizes that this is my inner problem, and then he looks for solutions and he can't find any solution, there is a feeling of helplessness within, This feeling in the Shastras is known as Karpanya dosha or Dainya avastha. Bhagavad Gita is going to talk about this. So once this helplessness comes, then only a sensible person will look for some help from a wise person, and that is known as Sharanagati. So, and when a person has Sharanagati for a wise person, that wise person is going to help him, he is going to give him direction. And if he is very lucky, then he will give himself knowledge also. So a blessed person goes from samsara to doubt to dainyavastha to sharanagati to self-knowledge and permanent dukh nivritti, because only self-knowledge can remove the problems permanently from here. It is a cure for samsara. Everything else is only temporary. And Arjuna was so lucky that Bhagwan is standing in front of him, So Bhagwan is going to give him the Updesha right from the 11th shloka of this chapter only. But presently Arjuna is not ready for it, So in this chapter, the first shloka starts with Sanjay speaking, which we will read. Sanjaya uvacha tam tatha kripaya vishtam Ashrupurna kulekshanam Vishidantamidam vakyam Uvacha madhusudanaha. So Sanjay uvacha. Sanjay speaks now. Tam is for Arjuna. Tatha, thus. Kripaya avishtam, who was overwhelmed by kripaya. Kripaya actually means compassion, but in this context it means the emotion of attachment. Ashru, Purna, Akula, Ikshanam. Ashru means tears, Purna means full, Akula means eyes, Ikshana means they are blurred. His eyes were blurred because they were filled with tears. Vishidantam, one who was very sad. Idam, this. Vakyam, words. Uvacha, said. Madhusudana, Bhagwan. So, Vedvyasaji takes us back again to Hastinapur, where all this is being narrated by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. Whatever we are reading is what he is telling Dhritarashtra. So when Arjuna had told everything that he had to tell Bhagwan, he exhausted all that he had to say, he just sat down on the chariot, putting his bow and arrow aside and became quiet. And Bhagwan in any case has been quiet throughout. He has not said anything in the entire chapter, first chapter Bhagavad Gita. He said one line. When he brought the chariot in front of Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya and he asked Arjuna to have a look. Partha Pashya Etan Kuruniti, he says, look at these Kauravas now. That's all he has said in the first chapter. So Bhagwan is quiet, Arjuna is quiet. So Vedvyasaji's verbal camera now turns towards Sanjaya. And Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra, Tam tatha kripaya avishtam. Arjuna, who is avishta by kripaya, who has been overpowered by his emotions, like all the samsaris. All of us react like that, to any given situation, So samsari is that person who buckles down in front of the worldly situation. He is not the master of the situation. His emotion is his master, Unlike a jnani never lets the situation be the master, He is the master of the situation. That is why he is called a Swami. Swami means he is a master of his own body, mind, sense equipment. This equipment is under his control. Nothing can overpower this equipment. He is a Swami, So Swami doesn't mean that the person who is wearing those Kashaya Vastram only, That is only an indication for the world to know that this person is in sannyasa, he is not interested in what you are interested in the samsara. So it's an indication as to how you are supposed to interact with the sannyasi. It's just an indication. But if a person is a true Swami, he is a master of himself. So here Arjuna is totally overpowered by his emotions like a samsari. He is an agyani presently. So because of that, Ashru Purna Akula Ikshanam. His eyes are blurred because they are filled with tears, So this has also got an implied meaning, Whenever our buddhi is in conflict, you're not able to decide as to what one has to do, One is that it's very painful, that situation, indecision, not able to decide. One will be restless and, the grief is mainly because of that. And blurred eyes is because our perception is blurred at that time. We're not able to see properly, Though Arjuna's eyes are brimful with tears, but the tears are not flowing down. There are a whole lot of weaklings who howl and bawl, they cry. But so Arjuna is a Kshatriya, this situation has moved him, but still he is not crying, his eyes are just brimful, And because of that, he is Vishidantam, he is very sad, So to this sad Arjuna, who is overwhelmed by emotion, whose eyes are brimful with tears, who is so sad, Idam Vakyam Uvacha Madhusudana. These are the words which Bhagwan is going to tell him very shortly. And Sanjay calls Bhagwan Madhusudana. We have seen the meaning of this word. Sudana means the destroyer of. Madhu is the Rakshasa. As per mythology, he was a Rakshasa, a demon called Madhu. And as per Vedanta, every demon is Ahankara. So the main demon is Ahankara. Madhu means honey. And because honey is so sweet and is liked by everyone, similarly this Ahankara of ours is very dear to us. Everybody is busy boosting up their Ahankara only all the time, because you can't let go of the Ahankara, And Bhagwan is the destroyer of this Ahankara. He is Madhusudana. He will destroy. For a person who surrenders to Bhagwan, Bhagwan is going to help him disidentify from this ego. It is not a joke to disidentify from this ego, Every sentence everyone is speaking is revealing that they are identified with the ego and they don't even know that, because it is so fundamental, even to understand this it is so difficult. But since everything is not on our control, but God is going to help us there. He is going to help us disidentify. He is the Sudana. He is Madhusudana, So it is, he says that, and at last, after having kept quiet for so long, Bhagwan is going to speak, So we will read. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Jushtama Swargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. We had seen the meaning of Shri. Shri is the one who's endowed with every kind of wealth, be it material or spiritual wealth. It is Bhagwan. Every kind of wealth belongs to Bhagwan, and whatever we possess, little bit whatever we possess, we are only temporary trustees of that. It belongs to Bhagwan only, So you actually don't have to always worry about your wealth. It's all going to be taken care of by Bhagwan, He knows what to do with it. How much we are supposed to get, how much, even when we go away, He'll take care of it, So one should be relaxed. So Shri Bhagavan Vacha, now Bhagwan talks. Kutaha, from where? Kutaha means from where? Twa, you. Kashmalam idam. Idam is this. Kashmalam. Malam means impurity. And Kashmalam is the impurity of dejection. Vishme, in this moment of crisis, in the battlefield, Vishme, Samupasthitam, has come upon you. From where has this dejection come upon you in this moment of crisis, Anarya Jushtam, this behavior of all yours is Anarya. Arya is a very noble and great person, and Anarya is who is ignoble. Aswargyam, this is not going to take you to heaven. And Akirtikaram, Kirti is fame, honor, and Akirti is that which brings ill fame and dishonor. So at last, after having kept quiet throughout the first chapter, Bhagwan speaks, and he speaks knowing very well that Arjuna is a very righteous, duty-bound person. For him, dharma in the society was of paramount importance, But the thing is that presently he is in a dharma yuddha as a kshatriya, and his duty is to remove adharma and restore dharma here, even if it meant killing his own people and his very revered grandfather and guru. That is where Arjuna's problem was, So Bhagwan knows, he knew that this is what it is. But Arjuna is sitting there with tears in his eyes, he's such a brave Kshatriya, and he's sitting there with tears in his eyes in this battlefield. So Bhagwan wants to shake him up, get him out of this dejection of his, and whip him to get moving and fight this war. Like how you whip a horse, move, so you whip. So Bhagwan is now going to he uses some harsh words as the first method to shake up Arjuna, So he says, and Arjuna is not used to hearing all this, because he is the bravest of the brave, and he's never done anything in his life for which he ever has to hear such harsh words. And Bhagwan has also never spoken such harsh words to Arjuna, because he never needed such words, He's too good a person, But now Bhagwan is using as a method to get him out of this dejection, So he says, Kutaha twa samupastham, from where has this come upon you? This kashmalam idam, this kashmal, malam means impurities. It can be physical impurities or it can be mental impurities. And here it means the impurity of dejection, depression, frustration, which is Arjuna what he is feeling. So kashmalam idam, this impurity, from where has this come upon you? And that too vishme, in this moment of crisis, in this battlefield, you're sitting in the battlefield as a Kshatriya with tears in your eyes. This is not the right place and right moment for you to cry. When you were in the forest, in the exile, they were in the forest. So over there you could have gone and cried as much as you want to, but battlefield is the wrong place for you to cry, So he's wanting to shake him up, So then he uses 3 kind of adjectives to get his thinking right. He says, this behavior of yours is Anarya Jushtam, Aswargyam, and Akirtikaram Arjuna. These 3, on all 3 counts, his thinking was distorted, deluded, So he wants to correct his thinking over there. So first he says, this behavior of yours is Anarya Jushtam. And Arya Purushaha is a very noble, great person. Arya here doesn't mean that Aryan Dravidian, like most of the people think that North Indians are Aryans and South Indians are Dravidians, and North Indians speak Aryan languages and South Indians speak Dravidian languages, and then they create a divide in India only, you are Aryans and you are Dravidians. No, that is not what Arya means here. Shastra tells us what Arya means. It says, Kartavyam acharan karma, akartavyam anasharam, tishtati prakritachare, sahavaha arya iti smritaha. So the Shastra is defining who an Arya is and is talking about the person's character. So it is the character of a person, the disciplined life a person leads is what shows that he is an Arya or not an Arya Purusha, So here it says, Kartavyam acharan karma. one who does his karma as per kartavyam, as per his duty, and conducts himself as per achara, So such a person does what he is supposed to do. Doesn't matter whether the situation is pleasant or unpleasant, he will not complain, he will be cheerful, enthusiastic in doing whatever he is supposed to do, Such a person doesn't live his life as per raga and dvesha, as per likes and dislikes. Yeah, I like doing this, so I will do this. I don't like doing this, I will not do it. No, he lives as per dharma and adharma. What is his duty, he is going to do that, And akartavyam anacharam. He will not do what he is not supposed to do, Tishtati prakritachare. Who lives this life of discipline righteously, Sarva Arya iti smritaha. Such a person, such a cultured person is supposed to be known as an Arya Purusha. So he tells Arjuna, you are an Arya Purusha, how come you are behaving like an Anarya? You have to perform your duties as a Kshatriya, you have to bring the law and order back here, And it doesn't matter whom you are going to kill, all that you don't even have to think of, you just think of your duty. Otherwise, you will become an Anarya Purusha, And calling Arjuna Anarya is like abusing him, Because he was such a good person. Not like those thick-skinned people, no matter what you say to them, it makes no difference. No, he is extremely sensitive. You couldn't use this word Anarya for Arjuna, That itself is shaking him up, Then Bhagavan says, this behavior of yours is also a Swargyam. This is not going to take you to Swarga after death, because Arjuna had been thinking that if I am going to be a cause of all this destruction in the war, I am going to go to Narakam, and if I don't fight this battle, then I'll get Swarga. This is what Arjuna has been thinking. But Bhagavan says it's just the other way around. Like, if you don't fight this war, this will be dereliction of duty on your part. And for a Kshatriya, if you don't fight this war, you're not going to get punya out of it. You'll get papa. And papa is not going to take you to Swargam. It is a Swargam. That means what? It will take you to Narakam, So it will take you to Naraka. So that is again, he's trying to set his thinking right, because he's been thinking all this while that, I'll go to Swarga if I retreat from this battlefield. And then he says, Akirtikaram also. This behavior of yours is Akirtikaram. Arjuna's kirti was spread far and wide, even to the celestials, They also spoke about his kirti, He was the bravest of the brave persons around, And if imagine Arjuna doesn't fight this battle, then the first person who is going to spread a kirti is Duryodhana and Pati, Because they will say, oh, this chap, he just came there, saw us and our army, got scared and ran away, So they will get a hot topic to talk about, to belittle him, to, bring a kirti to his name. So after death, going to Swarga or Naraka is one thing, but while living here on this earth, a kirti is like Naraka, especially to a man of honor. Getting dishonor is, some people go and even commit suicide because their names has been spoiled, there's some akirti which has come to their name. So Bhagavan is telling him that this behavior of yours is going to bring you akirti, so you wake up, So he is trying to tell him all this to shake him up, literally whip him up, Then further he says, Klaibyam masmagama partha Masmagama partha naitatvayupapadyate Shudram hridaya dorbalyam Tyaktvotishtha parantapa. Klaibyam means unmanliness. Masmagamah, do not take to. Partha, Partha is Arjuna's another name. Na etat tvayi upapadyate, this doesn't befit you. Shudram, it is lowly. Hridaya Balyam, this weak-heartedness of yours, this faint-heartedness. Tyakta, give it up. Uttishta, get up. Parantapa, he calls Arjuna Parantapa, means the scorcher of enemies. So now, Bhagavan starts again using some harsh words for Arjuna and calls him Partha. Partha is, Arjuna is called Partha because his mother Kunti's other name was Pritha. So by using the word Partha here, he's trying to tell him that look here, you don't behave like a child, mama's boy, sitting there with tears in the eyes. So you have to just get up, Then he says, Na etatvai upapadyate. This doesn't befit you, So of all the people, Arjuna, he is behaving like this. And first he says, Klebya mas smagama partha. Klebya is a person who cannot be called either a man or a woman, like who dress up like a woman, behave like a man, or dress up like a man and behave like a woman. So you can't categorize them in either of the genders, So he's saying that you stop behaving like, imagine hearing this, such harsh words Bhagavan is using, even hearing this Klebya, he should have jumped up, and started fighting the war. So this is because he's saying that a man has to behave like a man in the battlefield, So it is said that a man is passionate and a woman is affectionate. By nature, God-giving nature, a woman gets tears easily. That's her temperament, God-given temperament, So women also should not go around behaving like men, dressing up like men and behaving like men. They are doing that nowadays, It's better that a man behaves like a man and a woman behaves like a woman as per God-given temperament. But if a courageous person starts getting teary-eyed in the battlefield, then that indicates his mental weakness. He's behaving like a woman, So Bhagavan is telling him, stop behaving like a Klebya, sitting there with tears in his eyes. You're a Kshatriya, And this doesn't befit you. Na etatvai upapadyate, This behavior, one could have, it's understandable that some Tom, Dick and Harry behaves like that. But the bravest of the brave, Arjuna, behaving like a Klebya, like sitting there with tears in his eyes. This doesn't befit you. I can't expect this from you. And this is Shudram. This is so low. It is like for a Kshatriya, this is a disgrace, Bhagavan is, shaking him up by all these words. Hridaya Balyam Tyaktva. You please give up this faint-heartedness, this weak-heartedness of yours, And Uttishta, you get up. First, Bhagavan is saying, you get up first, get up, like even before you pick up your bow and arrow, first please you get up, you behave like a man and not a Klebya, Then he calls him Parantapa. Parantapa is a scorcher of enemies. Paran tapayati iti Parantapa. This, he would roast up the enemies. Just his name was enough for the enemies. So he is Parantapa. So Bhagavan is reminding him that you are Parantapa. What's happened to you? Of all the people, you behaving like a Klebya, So he's trying to whip him up and trying to make him do what he's supposed to do in this present situation. And the entire Gita is going to tell us that we are also supposed to do what we are supposed to do in a given situation as per our duty, as per our dharma, no matter how challenging the situation is, If we do, this is the way, if we live our life, if we fulfill our duties, our karma is going to become karma yoga. And when we perform our karmas as karma yoga, then only we can reach moksha. How come so many people, they are not bothered about this? How come that little number is bothered? Because these people have lived properly. That is why you'll even get to hear the Shastras, So if a person lives well, he is going to get moksha. There is no doubt about it, So all this is trying to tell us that it is not easy to change someone's thinking, The thought is so powerful, It can turn a parantapa into a klebya. Thought power is too strong, So after all this ordering which Bhagavan has done, he's tried to tell all these harsh words to Arjuna, still Arjuna's thinking is the same. Now he tries to explain himself to Bhagavan. He's thinking Bhagavan is not understanding me properly, Like he doesn't understand this compassion which I am feeling towards my family and this worry which I have about adharma in the society. Bhagavan is not understanding. So again he starts explaining himself, which we will read. Arjuna uvacha Katham Bhishmamaham Sankhye Dronam cha Madhusudana Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami Pujarharvari Sudana. So Arjun Uvacha, Arjun talks again. Katham, how? Bhishmam, for Bhishma Pitama. Aham, I. Sankhye, in the battlefield. See, the word Sankhya here means the battlefield, So there are many meanings to Sankhya. Dronam cha and Dronacharya, Madhusudana. He again calls Bhagavan Madhusudana, the destroyer of the demon Madhu. Ishubhi are arrows. Pratiyotsyami, fight with. Pujar are how? Those who are worthy of worship. Arisudana. Ari means enemy, Sudana means the destroyer. So he's again addressing Bhagavan as Arisudana, who is the destroyer of enemies. So after having kept quiet for some time, Arjuna's record player starts again and he is trying to make Bhagavan see his perspective. Like all of us, if we are in argument with somebody, we will try and see that this person understands us because our perspective he is not able to understand. This is my perspective, this is what I think. Most of the people do that only. So this is what Arjuna is also doing, And then he calls Bhagavan two names in the shloka. He says Madhusudana and Arisudana. Madhusudana, destroyer of the demon Madhu. Arisudana, destroyer of enemies. So by these two names he is trying to indicate to Bhagavan that you are a destroyer of demons and enemies. But for me, in front my grandfather and Guru are standing. So if I kill them, I will become Guru Sudana and Pitamaha Sudana. So I don't want to be called all that and I don't want to do this, So my job is extremely difficult, much difficult than anything you have ever done. He is telling Bhagavan that, that because he is in a moment of crisis, he wants Bhagavan to understand this, that see, I don't want to fight this battle, so that Bhagavan will say, okay, you go, okay, don't fight. He wants this answer from Bhagavan, that I don't want to fight this battle, So then he says, Katham aham sankhye, how come I in this battlefield, Bhishmam Dronam cha, Ishubhi Pratiyotsyami, how can I fight with Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya with arrows here in this battlefield when they are puja arhav, when they are worthy of worship? Because he has so much of reverence for these two, right since childhood he has so much of reverence. So he's saying, how can I throw these arrows at them? I mean, I could send them garlands, but not arrows. I worship these two people, So how am I supposed to fight with these people, he's asking Bhagavan. So Arjuna's problem is that he's seeing this entire situation from a personal perspective. So Arjuna is not in this battlefield as an individual. He is in the battlefield as a part of Pandava's army. Just like when our army people fight, They are a part of Indian army, those soldiers, they're not some individual soldiers so and so fighting the war. This is the Indian army fighting. So Arjuna is a part of Pandava's army, and Bhishma and Drona are a part of Kaurava's army. They are not grandfather and guru in the battlefield. So Arjuna is not able to see this properly, and these two armies are standing in front of each other wanting to fight based on some principles, for some principles. Kauravas are fighting for the policy of adharma, but Pandavas are fighting for the principles of dharma. So Arjuna is not able to see this. He is seeing this through the, he is not able to see this entire situation in a broader perspective, in a total viewpoint. He is seeing the situation through the eyes of his little ego. So he can't insist that, he cannot even accept honor or dishonor, or insist that respect and disrespect for the people he has to fight with, those people who are supporting the wrong side of the war, those who are supporting adharma. So he is insisting on that. He is wondering about his honor, and he is wondering about respect and disrespect for those people who are on the Kaurava side. So his whole perspective is that he is looking through, he is considering himself, he is looking through the glasses of his ego. He is identified as a Shishya of Drona and as a grandson of Bhishma Pitama. He is still seeing that only. This entire Gita is going to teach us that as long as we are identified with this petty little I, this ego of ours, every situation in our life is going to become a problem for us. The only way to change this problem is this disidentification which is required with this petty I, this ego. And before we can realize our truth, the first thing to do is to expand this I, which is by identification with something larger. Like you identify with the nation, the army, some principles, that is expanding the I. Like, when these people, they join the multinational companies and all, the moment they get the job, they will say, I work for Microsoft, I work for Google, I am an army officer. That I has got expanded, So there is more identification with something larger now. This is the way to get off this ego, this petty ego, And the moment we identify with something larger, we will find that our moral confusions will start dwindling away, Gradually this moral confusion will start going away in our minds. Of course, perfect morality can only be lived by a person who knows his truth as the non-dual reality. Perfect morality, because he is not an individual only anymore, When he is totally disidentified with this, he has what does he want from this world? He doesn't want anything from this world, Then he is able to live perfect morality. But first you have to expand this I. But as long as you are identified with this petty I, there's going to be nothing but problems, So Arjuna is trying to tell Bhagwan, see, this fear and all is not my problem. My problem is compassion for my people and this worry about adharma in the society. Of course, a brave person has to be sympathetic, in day-to-day living. A brave person must be sympathetic, just like a rich person must be magnanimous, and a knowledgeable person must be humble. So knowledge goes with humility, Vidya Vinaya Sampanna. Only a knowledgeable person knows that no matter how much knowledge you get in this world, this Apara Vidya. Apara Vidya, there is no end to it. You can just go on studying, and the more you study, the more you'll know that there's so much more to study. Only a knowledgeable person will be humble, who really has knowledge, These empty vessels, they make a lot of noise. And a person who's overconfident, he is proving to the world, at least to a knowledgeable person, he's proving that he's a fool, because he's overconfident. That overconfidence is a sign of a foolish person. Humble person is a knowledgeable person. That is why the tree laden with fruits is bent down. So knowledge goes with humility, wealth with magnanimity, power with justice, strength with gentleness. These two traits, when they're present together, is going to take a person high. But if there's only one out of these two present, then this person is capable of destroying others. Whenever the people are, if they're very wealthy and they lack magnanimity, they are the ones who are, troubling everybody. They are not the rightest people to be even in power there. So presently Arjuna is totally deluded still. That's because he is in the grip of moha, and moha is because of raga and shoka. He is totally identified with his family. He is not able to see his Kshatriya dharma, that he doesn't matter whether whoever, grandfather, guru and friends, relatives, all that doesn't make sense in the battlefield. But Arjuna is not able to see that, And then further he is trying to tell Bhagwan. And now in this coming verse, the chanting meter changes, Like I told you before, Bhagavad Gita is chanted in 2 meters. Anustup and 3 stup meter. And up till now all the shlokas which we've chanted were in Anustup meter. And now this shloka is in 3 stup meter. So, Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan, Gurun hatva hi mahanubhavan, Shreyo bhoktum bhaikshyamapi haloke, Bhoktum bhaikshyamapi haloke, Hatvartha kamanstu guru nihaiva, Artha kamanstu guru nihaiva, Bhunjiya bhogan rudira pradigdhan, Bhunjiya bhogan rudira pradigdhan. Yeah. So this is Gurun he is saying here. Guru is singular, Gurun is plural. So he is calling Bhishma Pitama also his guru here. He is calling both of them Gurun, because he has learned so much from his grandfather. Like all of us, our first gurus are our parents, our grandparents. They've taught us so much. So he is calling both of them Gurun. And then he says ahatva, by not killing them. He indeed, who are mahanubhavan, who are great people, most noble people, revered people. Shreyaha, Shreya means it's better. Bhoktum, Bhoktum means to eat. Bhaikshyam, Bhaikshyam is bhiksha. Bhiksha taken from one house is called bhiksha, but when you take a little bit from couple of houses, it's called bhaikshyam. And in our Vedic times, people didn't want to put this load on one family that you sit down there and you eat the entire meal, No, whichever house they went to and asked for bhiksha, they gave a little bit, and so they collected from couple of houses so that nobody is burdened also. And in those days, the people were ready. They would cook food keeping this in mind, that people will be, the sannyasis are going to come and ask for bhiksha. And they consider it a blessing to feed these people, So here he is saying bhaikshyam. So he is saying shreyaha, it's better, bhoktum, to eat, bhaikshyam, I will go and beg food from couple of houses and live on bhiksha. Bhiksham apiha iha loke, here in this world, even in this world here, if I don't kill my gurus, who are really revered, I hold them in great reverence, I will go and get bhiksha and I will live like that. I don't want to fight this, I don't want to kill them, Then he says, hatva, by killing them, artha kaman stu, for artha and kama. Artha is getting security, this kingdom which is going to give me some security, and kama are the pleasures which I am going to get from this kingdom. So if I kill them for artha and kama, guru iha aiva, if I do the hatva of my guru iha eva here in this world, bhunjiya, I will enjoy, bhunjiya, bhogan, all the pleasures, rudira pradigdhan, which are going to be stained by their blood. So now Arjuna is thinking of the options in front of him, Suppose he does not fight this battle, then what are the options in front of him? He'll not be able to live in Hastinapur because Duryodhana is not going to give him any place, He had not even an inch of land, he's already made it very clear. So here he cannot live, he knows that now. If he doesn't fight the battle, Hastinapur is out of question. So then what can he do? What is the option? He'll have to go back to the forest. That is where they were when they were in exile, So he'll have to go back to the forest again. And once he goes back to the forest, he'll have to live on bhiksha. But the problem is that as per our Dharma Shastra, a grihastha cannot live on bhiksha. That is a papa, it's considered a papa if a grihastha also begs for food. Only a brahmachari, vanprastha and a sannyasi were allowed to live on bhiksha. A grihastha had to give bhiksha to everyone. That is what our culture was. Grihasti sustained the society because the other three are asking for bhiksha, So if the grihasti also asks for bhiksha, then who is going to give bhiksha, So no, it was considered a sin as per our culture that a grihastha could not ask for bhiksha. Now he is thinking that if I don't fight the battlefield, if I don't fight this battle as a Kshatriya, that is also a papa. Kshatriya not fighting the battle is a papa, and going and living in the forest and living on bhiksha also is a papa. So now he has two bad choices in front of him, just like we people also. Many a times there are two choices in front of us and both of them are bad and badder, So that is the reason so many people, they don't take a decision only, they keep postponing, not able to take a decision because the situations are both bad situations, Making a choice between good and bad is not a problem, that's pretty simple, But two bad situations there, And similarly Arjuna is now facing two bad situations, So out of the two he thinks, I'll choose the less badder one, The less badder is go away to the forest and live on bhiksha. I know it's not right, but at least it's not as bad as killing my gurus, So he tells Bhagwan, Gurun ahatva hi mahanubhavan. If I don't kill my gurus who are maha-anubhava, Anubhava means who have great mahima. Maha is great, Anubhava is mahima. They are glorious gurus, So when I don't kill them, Shreya is better, Bhoktum bhaiksham apiha loke. In this world, I will live on bhiksha. I'll beg for food, Hatvartha kamanstu gurun iha aiva. If I kill my gurus here for the sake of security and pleasure, I will be enjoying Bhunjam Bhogan Rudira Pratigdhan. All the pleasures which I will enjoy, all the security which I get of the kingdom will be blood stained, their blood stained, So now Arjuna is such a righteous person that for him the thought, that he will get all this kingdom after killing his gurus, he knows that he will never be able to enjoy that. That thought only will not go from his mind, Even for us, when we see our loved ones in their last stages, see our parents die and all that, that doesn't go from our mind easily. Even though we are not the cause of their death, but still they are going, they are dying, So it's not easy to forget that. And Arjuna has to kill his people. He has to see them bleed to death, And he is the cause for their death, So this he knows. He'll never be able to forget this. And there's going to be lifetime of guilt for him, that all this pleasure which is in front of him, I'm enjoying because I killed my gurus. So Arjuna is not that kind of a person. All those asuras and rakshasas who are so busy in indulging in all these pleasures, they are not worried from where it's coming. They just want to indulge. But not Arjuna. Arjuna is too good a person. So he is not ready for that. He is willing to go to the forest, live on bhiksha and get that papa, doesn't matter. But he doesn't want to kill his gurus. He is making it very clear to Bhagwan. So presently also Arjuna's thinking is adamant. It hasn't got switched from samsara thinking to the doubt coming in the mind. That doubt has to come in his mind, which has still not come. Only when the doubt comes, when he is ready to receive the advice which Bhagwan is going to give, for that some mental change has to happen, and Bhagwan is waiting for that. So Bhagwan Gita Upadesha is going to start when this doubt comes in Arjuna's mind, and is going to come very soon. So we will see that. We won't want to start another shloka. We'll see it next time. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.